Hello and welcome to this edition of Firebird Nation Sports Update. I'm your host, Eric Zedalis. In this edition, you'll see my interviews with 3 head coaches and 2 Firebird student athletes. I spoke with head men's basketball coach Mike Riley, head women's basketball coach Juan Dixon, and head women's track and field head coach Joel Phillip. I also got to chat with 2 of our women's track and field standout student athletes, Temera, Duncan, and Deasia, Greer. We began with my interview of Mike Riley. Coach and I spoke following his men's basketball team's historic win over crosstown rival Bowie State. All right, Mike, give me a general overall sense of how the season's going so far.
Well, so far, the kids are learning what we are trying to implement and trying to run some of the things. And so if I had to give it a grade, I would say we're doing B work. That doesn't translate into all wins all the time, but I think they're working hard. We've had some opportunities, we've made some mistakes, and that's what the season is a process of growing, game by game, practice by practice. And as I always say, find a way to contribute. Find a way to contribute, whether it's rebounding on defense. If you come in the game and you D up on somebody and you make some stops, you contribute. If you come in the game, you get some rebounds, you contribute. And so that's what we're always doing. So I'm not dissatisfied with the season right now.
Okay. What specifically have you liked and what could use some more work?
Well, communication. Always an issue is communication. How we communicate, and sometimes it's not what we say, it's how we say it. I may say, Eric, get me something. When you go to the store, get me something, or I can say, Eric, could you get me something when you go to the store? So it's the way you say things, and emotionally, we talk about adversity. If we're up by 10, 15 points, everybody's got ice cream and donuts, we're having a good time. But when you get down by 10 points or so and adversity comes in, how do you communicate with each other? How do you make things work? How do you get back in it? And that's always the big key. Rebound has been our sore thumb throughout the year. We've got to make sure we rebound because we're not big. And even if we play with what we call a big team, we're still not big. So we have to rebound every single game. It's got to be everybody that's rebound. We have to gain rebound. So.
Okay. Who have been some of your key performers this year?
Well, Joe Nicholson has really come on and he fills out the stat sheet. But we count on certain people to have specialties. Reggie Sidbury, we want him to knock down some shots. We count on Jayon to run the floor and to rebound for us. And, last night, we count on people to do certain things for us. And so the process is get guys to come in off the bench, contribute in some way. And I think Trayvon Butler, he's been able to come in and step up his game. So it's been, several guys that have done their part in order, but improving is what we want to do. If we're improving, I'm fine with it, as long as we're improving each and every day.
Right. Now, you got contributions across the board from everybody in your win over Bowie State.
Yes, we did.
It was a big win for the program. Yeah. Hadn't beaten them since 1999.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and big historic win over your crosstown rival.
Right.
Talk about that win.
Well, Darryl Brooks is a friend of mine, their coach, and Darryl does a great job with his team. And so we knew we was going to be in a dogfight from the beginning. And this is a tough time for us. Here we have exams going on. And during that time, with exams and everything that's going on, it's a process that we have to make sure that we get the kids to come in and be focused. Mm-hmm. And if they're not focused, it's because of the exam, staying up and things like that. And so I think during that process, that when we are playing those games, you're trying to get their attention. You're trying to get them to come in. And we knew that the process of playing them during exam time was going to be tough. We had 3 guys that came, 15 minutes right before the game started. Wow. But that's why they are special. That's why, everybody can't be a student athlete because they can't do. People sometimes say, well, how do they do that? It's tough to do. You're trying to balance everything. We're trying to give them the days off. We gave them the day off right after the game that we had against Bowie State because people had exams, people had papers to get in. But the game itself was going to be a war. Going back, they have good players. We have some good players. Some of those guys from around here, some of our guys are from around here, so they know each other. So we knew that they were going to compete, and we knew they were going to go inside on us. And so, but we had to combat that by getting out and running the floor. And so we did that sometimes. Sometimes they were successful, sometimes we were successful. So.
Yeah. You touched on some of the challenges of being a student athlete, taking finals and having to play a game. These are also people, and you've got holidays coming up. You're on a break for a little while.
Right.
This is the time you're eating cookies and drinking eggnog. What do you tell them as they're about to go on their break?
Well, we want them to enjoy themselves, but as you say, they're not machines. When we come back, we're going to have a couple of non-league games, I think, against Nyack and Wilmington, and then we get back into the league. And so we kind of schedule it that way so we can have, because the league is always important, but they're not machines, Eric. And so in the process of trying to get them to go, we want you to go home and enjoy yourself. But we also told them, try to find a basketball court. Get us some shots or do some running or something, because we don't want them to have that period of time off and eating all that, food from mom and then come back here and guys are going to be stuffed and not ready to really get back into it, because we have to get back into it very soon. So again, it's the balance of being a student athlete, and sometimes, teams schedule Christmas tournaments, and that's tough. That's tough to be away from home.
Right.
So we don't do that. We haven't done that, and so, but it's still tough to have to go and then leave, because we have to have the guys that come back the day after Christmas, and we have practice, and we'll get right back into it. So it's kind of lonely. No one's around here because school is not in. It's probably going to be cold and freezing, and there's not a lot to do. So they have to basically kind of hunker down and just be in their room, stay out of trouble.
Right.
That's what I want them to do. So.
When they get back, they enter into the crux of the ECC schedule, as you touched on.
Right.
How do you continue to win games when you get back?
Well, it's a process. We're not a dominant team, so we have to each game do what we do. We have to worry about the University of District of Columbia and not worry about the teams that we play. Although we do scouting reports, we have to focus on what we do and what we're not doing and what we can do better. And that's why myself and Terrell Stokes, Anthony Iotti, we wind up watching a lot of film of our games to watch us. They do scouting reports also for the other team, but we have to really make sure we're doing what we do. It doesn't matter what they're doing if we're not doing what we're doing. So it's a process. We have to continue to do each practice, each game, each minute of the game to get better, to do what we're doing. When we focus, when we have a timeout and I'm writing on something, everybody has to be focused on that. And unfortunately, unlike tennis or golf, you go out as one and you can do what you want. If you feel like changing, you can. But in basketball or team sports, you're going out as a unit, and everybody has to be on the same page. And so that's partly the coach's job, to make sure that they are on that same page.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, sir.
Best of luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate that.
All right.
All right.
Next is my conversation with Juan Dixon. Among other things, Juan and I talk about how his first season at UDC is going so far. All right, Juan, this is your first head coaching experience, not just at UDC, but anywhere. How do you think this year is going so far?
The year is actually going better than I expected. I'm only into my second month here as the head women's basketball coach. So the young ladies are still getting familiar with me. I'm getting familiar with them. We're executing really well. We definitely, they have a better understanding of, my principles, how I want to do things on the offense and defensive end. It's just a matter of us giving consistent effort. But, we're trying. Our record doesn't indicate how good we are. Some games we do lose by a large amount, But there's games where we're in it, and we're 2-3 possessions short. A defensive stop here, a defensive rebound, turning the ball over. So we just got to continue to work, and we're progressing. We're getting better every day.
All right. The thing that stands out to me about your team is your young talent. Obviously, you've got freshman Deasia Anderson, who's been Rookie of the Week twice. She set a school record for points in a game as a freshman with 31. Her sister, Deasia Anderson, is also very good. The two Bailey sisters, Bailey and Bianca.
Right.
You've got the talent there. It's just young talent. Tell me what it's been like building on this talent and helping them progress.
Well, we are a young basketball team. We started a senior point guard in Chantrell Oliver, but the majority of our points do come from our freshmen. Deasia scores the ball really well. She plays well on all 3 levels, can score in the paint, mid-range, and can shoot the deep ball. Bianca has been huge for us coming off the bench, whether she's coming off the bench or starting. She contributes at a high level, along with Tyra, along with Deasia, who brings great energy, a defensive mindset, which you always need in the starting lineup, willing to do all the little things. And then Bailey and Kayla, they're playing well when they get their opportunity. So our future is very bright, but we just have to finish the season out strong. We're going to have growing pains being a young basketball team. So it's just a matter of us learning as a team together every day and just continue to work towards the bigger picture. And that's just having success, later on, NCAAs, hopefully,
right.
Winning the ECC. That's our goal.
Right. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Next, I interview another first-year head coach in Joel Phillip. His women's indoor track and field season began in December at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Lid Lifter Invitational. All right, Joel, you're a new coach. You've got a very new team. There's a sense that there's a new era here at UDC in women's indoor track and field and outdoor track and field. Tell us about the makeup of this team and how you expect to compete in your first year.
The makeup is, I don't want to say diverse, but we have athletes who could do multiple events, a talented group from the freshmen up all the way up to our seniors. It's a very talented group, and we expect to do pretty well this first season that I'm here.
And talk about some of your standout athletes. Talk about them individually.
Okay. First of all, I'll say Deasia Harden, freshman. She's a very talented athlete, works hard at practice, competes when she's at meets. She runs the 400 outdoor. She'll be running the 400 hurdles as well. So that's one. You have another freshman in Temera, Duncan, who's also a very talented athlete from Jamaica. She also runs the 400. So in that group, we have a pretty strong and talented core in that group. But we also have in the hurdles we have Stacy Enroe, who is a junior, who is very talented as well, who I expect, with the hard work she's doing, that she should be able to make it to nationals. And those 3, maybe including Brittany Ocon in the long jump, I think they could take it to nationals.
Okay. Now you touched earlier on the fact that a lot of these athletes have to compete across multiple events. You need a certain level of endurance to be able to do that. Does cross country help them with that when they compete in that in the fall?
Yeah, well, even if they don't really like cross country, but it does help, especially with their strength endurance. For people like Deasia, who runs the 400, 400 hurdles, Temera, that I just mentioned, and the other 400-meter athletes is going to help them a lot, as well as everyone in general, everyone on the team actually is going to benefit them in running cross country.
Okay. You've got a lot of newcomers. How have they adjusted to college track and field?
It's been a challenge. And something that I always tell freshmen is that you have to really forget what you did in high school. Once you get to college, it's something completely different. It's a new experience. The workouts are different. It's harder. It's a little bit more challenging, especially when you have classwork that you have to get done. So it's been a challenge, but the young ladies have stepped up and they have embraced the challenge.
And you've also got 5 veteran upperclassmen on the team. How much do the young athletes lean on them for leadership?
To be honest, I think they have been leaning on them pretty well. Our upperclassmen like Brittany, Stacy, even Jasmine, I mean, they have been, a great help to me, especially with, me being here my first year, and, facilities, everything is different, just helping me, find, different places we could use for practice and that kind of stuff. It's been a big help, not just to the freshmen, but also to me.
All right. You've had one meet thus far. It was the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Lifter Invitational. Talk about how that meet went.
That meet went very well. A lot of the athletes, it has been the best they have competed, putting the best times at a first meet ever. So it was a great meet. It gives us a chance to see where we are after our training during the fall. And I think that we're right on track for where we want to be later on in the season.
That's good. And you've got 6 more meets remaining. One of them is the East Coast Conference Championship meet on February 24th. A lot of your meets are against Division I competition. They're hosted by and heavily competed in by Division I teams. But also on your schedule, on January 13th, you're at the Division II Spartan Invitational. Is that meet an exciting meet for your girls to compete in, knowing that they're up against a lot of Division II competitors?
To be honest, I think our girls look forward more to competing against Division I schools. And the reason why is because, and it's not just here, even when I was at Lehman College, which is a Division III school last year, I always tell them that we want to compete against any school, anyone, it doesn't matter. We want to be able to compete with the Division I schools and show them that, we're, not because we're Division II or Division III that, we can be ran over. We want to show them that we have the talent and we have the heart to compete with anyone. So it's the same mentality I have with the young ladies here. I let them know that it doesn't matter who we compete against. We're going to go out and we're going to compete, we're going to run hard, and we're going to give it our best.
And that makes sense coming from an Olympic athlete like yourself. But to talk about competing against the best and how that brings out your best.
Just being running against athletes who are perceivably at a higher level than you, it makes you want to step your game up. Especially when you're in the same area warming up with them. You're doing your starts, you're doing your run through, your drills. All of you are in the same area. So it kind of, it lifts your spirit, even though there's a little sense of nervousness, a little sense of fear. But it does lift your spirit to know that, hey, I'm competing amongst, the best in the country or the best in the world. So it kind of, gives you that boost to want to, run harder.
Right. Holidays are coming up. Your teams are taking finals, and they're not practicing right now. What do you tell them in terms of keeping their level of shape, their level of fitness during this break?
During the break, I have already given them their winter break workouts, and the only thing that I told them is that you don't want to give away what you already put in, during the fall training. Like I said, they put in a lot of work. They worked hard, and it would be a shame for them, to go on the break, not do anything, and come back and have to start all over again. So that's the one thing that that I stress to them, that you want to make sure you do the workouts over the break, so that when we come back, we haven't lost anything, and we're right on track to continue with our momentum to take it where we want to go to nationals.
And what should we expect when they get back?
When they get back, there is going to be a little rust, to be honest. It's a difference when you're training by yourself versus when you have your coach there to kind of pinpoint little errors you may make or little mistakes. So it's a little different. So I do expect a little rust when they come back, but nothing much to where they won't be able to compete and do their best.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Finally, I sat down with 2 standout freshman student athletes of the indoor track and field team Temera Duncan and Deasia Greer. We talked about the adjustment from high school to college life, the student-athlete experience at UDC, and much more. All right, I'm here with freshman track and field student-athletes Deasia Greer and Temera Duncan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
My first question is, how has it been adjusting to college life from high school? We'll start with you, Deasia.
Well, it's like definitely a lot different. Like you have to work harder, and there's no one there to like, okay, get up, you got to go to class. Like everything, you're on your own. So, I mean, I'm used to my mom like yelling at me, like, get up, it's time to go. So like, it's hard. It's harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Temera?
For me, it's not that hard because being from the Caribbean, I've done an extra year, being grade 13, and that's the year that you get more responsible and stuff. So my mom, like she stopped telling me to get up and all of this. So it's like it was a learning process, and it has helped me now.
Right. Now, Temera, you come from St. Andrew, Jamaica, and St. Andrew High School. A long line of Firebirds have come from that high school. Did any of them encourage you to come here?
Yes, Stacey and Rowe, she's a junior on the team now. She encouraged me. I spoke to her before I came, actually.
And you knew some of the other previous Firebirds, like who else?
Katie and
Jones.
Kimoy Mays, Shauna Kay. Yeah,
Shauna K. Curry.
those girls were actually my seniors in high school.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Okay. And what attracted you both to UDC? We'll start with you, Deasia.
It's close to home.
Close to home.
I don't really like traveling that far, so like it's not a long ride from where I live. So.
Okay.
Well, for me, it was like the encouragement that I got from my teammates and what I heard about the school and the coaching and everything. So that was what drew me here.
Okay. Temera, you're a business administration major, and you mentioned in your bio that you'd like to one day own your own business.
Yes.
How have you enjoyed your classes so far? What's been your favorite class?
To be honest, although it may be the most challenging, it would be Introduction to Business because it is very interactive and I get the feel of the real world and what to expect, and I learn more business terms and stuff like that.
That's great. And you're a biology major, Deasia.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite class so far?
It's actually none of my bio and chem class.
Oh, you're doing your
It's
general
actually,
ed?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
actually foundation writing. Like,
Okay.
It's like, it's not as serious, and like my professor, he's very like motivating.
Okay.
So I like that.
Okay. You've both been through a cross-country season this fall now. And now that you're into your track seasons, both of you are asked to carry a lot on your shoulders. You often have to compete in several events in any given meet. Did cross-country help with that endurance that you need to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because like me and Temera, we both run like, what's the like
Longer distances?
Yeah, longer distances, like 400s. So you need that endurance, or else you're gonna burn out when you get to that last one, like 100. You're gonna burn.
Temera, do you feel it's helped you as well?
Yes, it has helped throughout the race, and as well as being that we're going to be doing different events back to back in the same day. I've seen where I've improved. I didn't know that I would be able to do a 400, a 200, or a 800 on the same day and not burn out.
Yeah.
So it has helped.
Okay. How did you think you performed individually at your first meet? It was the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Lid Lifter Invitational a few weeks ago. How did you think you performed, Deasia?
I mean, I feel like I kind of performed a lot better, but it was my first meet, and especially my first meet as a freshman in college.
Right.
So, like, my nerves were all over the place, and I feel like I kind of psych myself out sometimes. So, but for the most part, I feel like I did all right.
And what events did you compete in?
I did the 400, the 200, and the 4x4.
Okay. And what was your best performance? Which event did you perform the best in, would you say?
200.
200.
That's my most comfortable race.
Okay. Temera?
Well, I did the same events, 4x4, 400 and 200, I think I performed the best in the 200, which is surprising to me. And it was different. It was my first college meet, first indoor track. Nerves was there, but I think I performed well. But for the first meet, it was satisfactory. But I think I can improve coming up to the other meets.
Okay. Now, winter break is coming up. Holiday season is rolling in. How do you balance having a nice time on your winter break with staying in shape for the rest of the season? We'll start with you, Deasia.
Well, I was gonna go back to my high school and just like practice at that track, cause it's like right there to my house. So like it's not that hard, but it's cold. That's the only thing. It's so cold.
So finding somewhere indoor to run
yeah,
is the challenge.
That's the challenge.
And what about you? Are you going back home to Jamaica?
No, not yet, sadly. But I'll be going to Florida, which is warm.
Okay.
So I'll be training. I'll be doing the program, balancing my time, but having fun at the same time. So I'll be fine.
Okay. Well, we wish you both the best of luck the rest of the year. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're thrilled you could join us for this edition of Firebird Nation Sports Update. Be sure to check out all the Firebird action on our website, udcfirebirds.com, and our social media accounts, Facebook, UDC Athletics, Twitter @UDC Athletics, Instagram @UDC Athletics, and YouTube, UDC Athletics 1. See you next time.